Greeting, Moody students. We're entering into week 5 of our 8-week course. I trust you're enjoying the study. The devotional is there, some thoughts on the tabernacle, and there's a website there you might want to visit. I had the privilege of being at that site in Israel at Timna Park, where there's a life-size replica of the tabernacle in the wilderness, in the actual Negev desert where the original tabernacle was. It's a pretty interesting website, so you might want to check it out. Lesson 5 is discovering your method for biblical theology. I put a verse there to draw your attention to the importance of our accurately handling the Word of God, even as we do our theology. The objectives this week are to outline the components of your personal method for performing biblical theology. We want this to become something you will use. And we all have a theology, so we're just getting it fleshed out and thought out. And then to develop theological concepts from Old Testament texts. The Old Testament is 4/5 of the Bible. I'm actually doing my PhD studies in Hebrew and Old Testament studies. I did my THM in New Testament in Greek, and I'm doing my PhD now in Old Testament in Hebrew. And as I said, the Old Testament is actually 4/5 of our Bible, so it's time well spent in studying the Old Testament. You've got reading this week, first in your textbook, more reading from Ben Hoosier, pages 33 through 50. Then you're going to be doing a reading from Moo and one from Trier. Those are both there in PDFs, I'm sure. You've got one assignment, written assignment, an expanded biblical theology, assignment 6, and then, of course, you've got a discussion board. Okay, doing good work in the discussion boards. And again, remember when you're responding to a peer, those 3 things I'm looking for in those responses. 1, good, appropriate compliments. If there's something in your peers' post that you thought was really good or insightful or something that was fresh to your thinking, let them know that. Encourage them and compliment them. But then also provide a kind critique. Gently challenge one another in your thinking. If you don't agree, say so, and challenge your peer to support what they're saying more thoroughly if need be. And then lastly, leave one another with good, thorough, open-ended, thoughtful questions. By open-ended, I mean leave questions that your peer can't reply with a simple yes or no. If it is a yes or no question, then you need to ask them why or why not. So they can't just answer yes or no. You want to prod one another in these discussion boards to think even more deeply than maybe you already have. And that's a good, thoughtful, open-ended question is a good way to do that. Well, that's it for this week. You have the rest of the information there. Be sure to read it over. I look forward to seeing your work this week. God bless.